everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video, and this will be my review of Season 2, Episode 6 of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show. I literally finished watching it 5 minutes ago, and, wow. Man. I'm going to get my score out of the way first, before we even start talking about it. I think 9.5 out of 10. This is my favorite episode of the entire series so far, both first and second season. The highest rating I've ever given an episode, and it was something else. Man. So, couple ground rules out of the way first before we get into the actual review itself. We're looking at this as the television show on its own. Like, it's its own thing. We're not comparing it to the source material, so I don't either add or subtract points away from my score. I don't allow the differences between the source material either to positively or negatively affect my reviews. I'm basing my review based on the show's merits itself, just as a show. I'm going to do the review in two different parts. First part will be completely spoiler-free. I'm still really emotional from watching it, so it's this isn't as smooth as my normal intros for my videos. So the first half of this video will be completely spoiler-free. So we'll talk about the episode in very general sense. It's likely going to be a shorter first half because I want to talk about specifics so bad with you folks. So then about halfway through, we'll give a spoiler warning, and then we'll talk about specifics about the episode itself, what I liked, and there was nothing I didn't like. I'm going to tell you that right now, folks. This episode was damn near perfection. So if you don't like spoilers, or if you haven't seen the episode yet, feel free to watch the first half of this video, and then we're going to jump into spoilers at that point, and that's going to be a much longer section because there's a lot to unpack with this episode. It's absolutely incredible. All right, so spoiler-free version here. Like I said, 9.5 out of 10. This is about as close to perfect TV as you can think. And there is some perfect TV out there, don't get me wrong, and perfect TV can come in all shapes and sizes and forms, in different ways, different genres, different lengths, different subtypes, but this one was pretty damn near perfect. It was, I don't know what else to say other than the fact that I was absolutely blown away pretty much from the first moment the episode started right till the end. All the normal stuff about the Wheel of Time that has been so good this season continues to be incredibly good. That's the costuming, the sets, the pacing. Pacing in this one was on point. The way they ended certain storylines with the characters in this particular episode was absolutely perfect. It was like reading chapters in a book, and every single end of chapter had an intense cliffhanger. The acting, oh my, the acting in this particular episode by a number of different people. Madeleine Madden, Xelia Mendes-Jones, Zoe Robbins, they're the standouts in this particular episode, in my opinion. Kira Coveney, she did a fantastic job as well. There are a lot of really, really good performances in this episode, and I don't want to say that anyone was too far and above anyone else, but there were some really, really standouts here. And Madeleine Madden as Egwene, girl can act. That's all I can say. This was amazing. Xelia Mendes-Jones, they did a phenomenal job in this particular episode. They're fairly new to the series. They've only been in a little bit of the last episode or so, and then this episode, and the scenes with the two of them. We'll talk about them in the spoiler section, of course, but amazing. Emotional roller coaster, start to finish. Informative, slow-burning character in some aspects. A little bit of action here and there, the right amount of action just to kind of spice things up. This was certainly not a finale. It was not a big spectacle, but it was an incredible piece of television. I felt like I was watching one of the best episodes of The Blacklist and The Good Place and Lost and any other amazing TV show that you can think of, kind of all rolled up into one. There were little aspects of basically every bit of perfect TV you can think of in this one here. The writing was over the top. It was absolutely amazing. The characters, even though some characters in this particular episode had very little screen time, or you know that they may not be around as much as you're going to see in the next few episodes if you've read the books, they made an incredible impact. Like I said, pretty near damn near perfect TV. 9.5 out of 10. If you folks haven't seen the second season yet, I know there are a lot of people watching the channel right now that just watch for updates and they don't particularly care for the show too much. I'm telling you, season 2 is knocking it out of the park repeatedly. But this one here, I can't see how episode 7 and 8, and they're the finales, I can't see how they can get better. I know they're going to try, but this one so far, my absolute favorite episode. Not a single thing wrong with it. You definitely need to tune in and watch this. Now, that's it for the spoiler-free section. I have to get into the spoiler section because I want to talk about the stuff in specifics. I know a lot of you folks want to hear my thoughts on very specific scenes in this. So, spoiler warning, for the rest of this episode, or the rest of this video rather, we're going to be talking full spoilers for episode 6 of season 2 of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show. So, if you haven't watched the first season, including the first 6 episodes of season 2, streaming right now on Prime Video, and have not read the first 4 books, that's The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, The Dragon Reborn, and The Shadow Rising of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, be forewarned, I'm ruining plot points and character arcs from both of those mediums. All right, we got to get on to talk about some of these scenes. Full disclosure, I just recorded my spoiler version of the review, about 15 minutes of me just talking about the episode, all the things I like, the storylines, being emotional, just getting into it. Look down, didn't even hit record. I'm out of sorts. I'm sorry. This episode was that good. And earlier, like I said, my intro wasn't as smooth as it normally is. I didn't even invite you folks to subscribe to the channel. So if you like spoilers, if you like leaks, if you like rumors, if you like reviews, breakdowns, things like that, make sure you subscribe. Please support us here at What Up. Obviously, if you did start in the video, you like spoilers. It's our bread and butter. It's what we like to do here. And if you love the Wheel of Time, this is a spot for you folks. So make sure you subscribe. And welcome to all the new subscribers. We got about 1,500 subscribers in the last month so far. This month, rather, so far in September. And thank you all for joining us here at What Up. It's been a fun ride. All right, so let's dive into the spoilers and all the things that are great about this episode. And there's nothing, I not even have a nitpicky thing to say that's wrong about it. 9.5, just because I can't imagine things getting any better, but I had to leave a little bit of wiggle room there. Highest number I've given to any episode so far. So this one, all the things that make season 2 of the Wheel of Time great and head and shoulders above season 1 still stand. The costuming is completely leveled up. It was great in season 1. It is phenomenal in season 2. The small attentions to detail, the colors that pop, the way the costumes fit each character and flow. It was like it was made specifically and tailored for them in that world. The small things like stitching, the way things move, little flashes of color or big pops of color, all perfect. The props in this particular episode, every single prop was phenomenal. And I don't know if folks know this or not, but there were a ton of Easter eggs, like a lot in this episode. And we're going to go through all of those, of course, in my Easter egg video for this particular episode. But all of that was great, just like it normally is. The pacing, though, in this one, the pacing has been phenomenal for season 2 so far. I've had very few complaints about it. It was one of my major critiques of season 1. This was like reading a book. We had chapters with each and every section of characters in it. They stopped at the proper times, the absolute perfect timing for kind of transitioning to different characters and what they were doing back and forth. And the end of the episode couldn't have ended better. So all of that aside, I want to talk about the things that elevated this episode to a 9.5 and what has me so emotional. And I assume a lot of the fandom, I'm doing my best to stay off social media, like I said earlier. But I can't imagine people aren't reacting the same way I am to this. There were multiple storylines in this, but what really put everything above and beyond was the writing and the acting. The acting in this one was, it was above and beyond. If Xelia, Mendes-Jones, and Madeleine Madden do not win awards for this episode, I don't have any faith in the award systems at all. The acting was just phenomenal. So there's a bunch of different great scenes in this, and we're going to talk about a couple of them here, but I'm going to focus mainly on Egwene's capture and breaking in this particular episode, because that is what the crux of the episode was. That was the crown jewel of the episode, and the acting between those two actors was spot on, top notch. So there was a lot of great things in here. There was a small bit of humor here and there. Matt, of course, came back, and he is perfect comic relief. It was incredible to see Donald Finn as Matt for more than 3 seconds on screen. We've only seen him a little bit so far this season, and Matt is a fan favorite. There's been a lot of complaints we haven't seen him. Don't worry, folks. I think we're going to see much more of him over the next couple of episodes. But Donald Finn really knocked it out of the park as Matt. It was perfect. His interactions with Rand, it was amazing, and there were small little subtle hints to some of the things that went on behind the scenes in season 1. At least I think so, in my opinion. Just little stuff, and that humor of Matt shone through like Dragon Reborn. It was great. Rand, Lanfear, Shamiel, the World of Dreams, they are absolutely perfect with the World of Dreams. I couldn't have envisioned a better way to do what they're doing with it. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I am excited to see how it goes further on, but the way they're bringing it to life on screen, I think, is perfect. I think it's as real and as believable as it can be. Moiraine, so Rosamund Pike in this episode. In season 1, I didn't particularly care for her as Moiraine. She grew on me as the season went on. But season 2, since it started, she has been perfect. Now, I know a lot of people might not think this is totally in Moiraine's character, but Rosamund Pike is really bringing it this season. She is really pulling out all the stops as Moiraine, and this episode is no exception to that. The letter she wrote to Swan, where it says she's been stilled, I'm still not totally convinced in what she's writing. It may be what she believes, but I'm still holding out hope that she's been shielded and not stilled. But all these little things, really, really, really well done. Of course, we have to get to Nynaeve, Elaine, and Egwene. So Nynaeve and Elaine. So Nynaeve in this particular episode, Zoe Robbins channeled Nynaeve perfectly. Not pacing, I'm investigating. Like, that's a Nynaeve line. The writers really, really channeled Jordan and his specific character traits for a lot of the characters in this particular episode. Nynaeve in particular, Matt in particular, Egwene for 100% sure. I believe Rami Park was the writer for this episode. Man, just perfect. Just the writing for this one was out of this world. Now, the scenes with Egwene and Xelia Mendes-Jones. So, Egwene and her Sul'Dam. These happened in a 15 by 15 stone room. There was very little props. There was very little outside influence. There was some CG. There was some special effects, of course, with showcasing the pain and the things that were going on with the Adam. But they were not out of this world. They were, I want to say, subtle enough and perfect enough to not take away from the emotions of the scene. So, Xelia Mendes-Jones plays the Sul'Dam, and we got to see them a little bit in last episode, but in this episode, they really, really, really shone. The brutality, the savagery, the kindness, little sparks of kindness, the anger, all of it rolled together exactly in the same way that I would expect to see from those scenes when I read them in the book. Just absolutely amazing. I don't know what else to say about it other than the fact that I am incredibly impressed with Xelia Mendes-Jones and their performance. I can't wait to see more of it in the next couple episodes. It was hard to watch, don't get me wrong, very emotional, but perfectly done. 100% deserves an award for the way the portrayal is. The good girl, pretty near broke me. Madeleine Madden, she pulled out all the stops. She acted alone for a lot of this stuff. She was in a room by herself. She really showed off her acting chops. She was interacting, of course, with Xelia, but for a lot of this, she was by herself and she was just expressing emotion. And the range of emotions that she was able to portray to the screen during the scenes where she was held captive and eventually broken. So we got to see Egwene break on screen in this episode, and then the pain and the loss at the very end of the episode after she realized that, yes, she can pour the water because it's not a weapon anymore. In her mind, that's giving up. And in the books, a lot of inner monologues, a lot of talking about it, a lot of description. You can't do that in a show. The way that Madeleine Madden portrayed it as Egwene, chef's kiss. I don't know what else to say other than that. Just absolutely perfect. 100% those two deserve an award. So, like I said earlier, this episode, if you haven't seen season 2 and you're just watching this because you're interested in what's going on, and I know a fair number of you folks out there have not given season 2 a chance yet, and you're still watching my channel because I read the comments, may not respond to a lot of them, but I do read them, and they're still complaining about things that have happened to season 1. I can tell some of you haven't seen season 2 yet. Give it a chance. Get to this episode. This episode is perfect. It is the best Wheel of Time episode so far, in my opinion. My humble opinion, of course. But I want to hear what you folks think. If you've seen the episode, let me know in your comments down below. How would you have rated it? Is 9.5 fair? I thought about doing a 10, but I wasn't sure if I should give it a 10 or not. As far as I was concerned, it's perfect, but there's always a little room for improvement, and I hesitate to give anything a perfect score, because there's likely some things in here that I haven't picked out that maybe aren't perfect, but I want to hear what you folks would score it. I want to hear what you folks thought about this episode. And we need to start some sort of campaign to get awards for these folks, because the acting was out of this world. Man, top notch. Anyway, I want to thank you all very much for sticking with me here to the very end. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this episode, and let me know where we're going in the next couple of episodes. Can they get any better than this? Can the second season get better than this episode? This is if they took the cold open from episode 7 from season 1 and made a whole episode out of it. Like, that's how perfect this is. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking with us here to the very end. Here's to many more.